Alright, so I have here a design from Frontend Mentor, and we're going to code this from scratch using HTML and CSS. So if you're not familiar with Frontend Mentor, you can go there and download designs and challenges that you can code. Here I just have a simple recipe one-page website, and it does have a responsive design as well that they will provide. And when you download designs from Frontend Mentor, you will get like a zip file, and then it will look something like this. They give you some assets so you can work with, like the fonts used. They even give you the file sometimes. But here we're going to use Google Fonts. These two fonts are available in Google Fonts, the Outfit and the Young Serif. And then they provide you with the images. This is just the fave icon and then the banner. Under the design, they give you the preview, the desktop view and the mobile view, and then some HTML and CSS file. So let's open that up in VS Code. I have here the index. So I already coded the HTML. By default, this would just have the text, and then you have to structure it yourself using HTML, and I'll show you how I did it. So first, I got the fonts from Google. That's very easy. Just go to Google Fonts, and then they also have this style guide here wherein they give you the name of the fonts and the weights that you need. In this exercise, we're going to get just the 400 and the 700 of the outfit. I don't see the point of using this. 600 here. And then for the young serif, we have just a 400 font. And so let's do that. So I'm going to grab our young serif first. I'll just add it. Select regular. It'll be added here, and then you can keep on adding. And here again, I said we need the 400 and the 700. And when you click back here on the shopping cart icon, it'll give you outfit 400, 700, and for the young serif 400. And then just click on the link and then copy, and then go back to our HTML and just paste it here. And then I linked my style sheet, of course. And then let's now move on to our HTML. So I just have here inside the body a width wrapper. So the width wrapper would take care of the width of the page. So you have a maximum width. In this example here, you cannot go over this width. So that's what the width wrapper is for. So inside that we have the content and then this attribution. This came from Frontend Mentor. So we're going to style that as well. So inside our content, I do have two sections. I have a content inner. So this is the featured image, this one with the image inside it, and then this contains the rest of our sections: the intro, the preparation time, ingredients, instructions, and also our nutrition info. I did that because of the mobile view, wherein you have to have a way of like removing the, if they're inside the same container, then there's no way for us to put a padding here, so they have to be separated like that. And so that's pretty much it. Inside our content we have two sections, and then inside our content inner we do have the rest of the sections. For intro, I just have an h1 and a paragraph, so this is what the site is about: simple omelet recipe. So that's the most important thing in the page. And then for a prep time, preparation time of what? So this is a subsection of this topic, the simple. And then I just have an unordered list. Same here, we have the ingredients. It's an H2 because it belongs to this topic here. It's a subsection, so H2. And then I have an unordered list here. And then same thing for our instructions. This I have here an ordered list instead, because we look at our page, this is numbered. So I have an ordered list. And then the li, I have this spans here because we need to style these first few words. And then same here with our preparation time, I skip that. So we have this spans here because we need to style the first word. And then for our nutrition, I have three elements here: the H2, the heading, the ordered list, sorry, the H2, the nutrition, paragraph, and then the table. So for each row, I have a heading, and the scope is row, calories is 277. So this has nothing to do with styling. This is just for accessibility. That is to say that this heading right here is talking about this. For CSS, I just have this custom property set up in the root. So meaning to say it's available everywhere in our style sheet. It's like global variables. And where I got these colors, it came from the style guide provided by Frontend Mentor. We can now move on to our reset. So for the reset, we're going to use border box. So if we say that an element is 100 pixels, it's going to stay the same 100 pixels of width even if we add border padding. And then we're sending this rule margin to every single element in the page, margin of 0. Image, so by default the image would overflow like so. So we want all images to have a maximum width of 100%. So it's not going to overflow. And then for body, so I set up the font. This is a shorthand. So I said I don't want it to be bold or 700. It's the regular 400 font weight. And then this is going to be your font size. And then this is our line height. And then this is going to be our font family, outfit. And then the fallback is sans serif. The background color again came from our custom property that we set up earlier. And then for the color of the text, body text would be this orange brown. And then again, I got that from the design that they provided us with. And then for the width wrapper, now is going to be our maximum width. By default, it doesn't have like a width wrapper. So if you put in the maximum width of 60 rem, then you can shrink, but you cannot go over 60 rem. And then we have to center that, so we need to say margin inline of auto. So it means top and bottom would be 0, and then left and right would be auto. So you're distributing all the space available, so it will center the content as a result. And then for the padding, so right now that looks okay, but if you shrink, the contents would be touching the side, so we need to put in a padding there, so it's always spaced like that. And then for our H1, H2, we only need these two, but just in case I need a few more if I have subsections, then I added those two. Again, it will be young serif and then serif for the fallback, and then this color again came from here, which is I just followed the color that we have here. This is the color, the nutmeg color. So we can start with our CSS or our layout. So let's look at what we have. So we have the content color as white. So let's do that. So this content should have both our featured image and the rest, the content inner, which contains the rest of our sections. That should be white. Let's see. Right. And then we also need some padding around. So let's do padding of 2 rem. So this is a shorthand that's top, left, right, and bottom 2 rem. And then we also need the body to have a margin top bottom. So let's do that. Margin. Or actually, we need that on the content. So let's do margin top and bottom of 2 rem, left and right 0. And then we need the rounded corners as well. So let's say border radius of 2 rem. And then here we have a rounded corner, but this is more curved. You have a larger curve there and a smaller curve here. So let's say border radius of 1 rem on our featured image. Then we're getting the image. Let's say border radius of 1 rem. So if we say we got that, And then for now, let us make this 55 for our maximum width. So it's not too wide. Or actually, we need to make a change here. So let's remove the padding for now, because what I'm thinking is when we go to the mobile view, that we need to put in a padding on the left here. So let's just put the padding on the content inner. So on the content inner, let's put our padding there of 0 top bottom, and then 2 rem on the sides. So there. And then we're putting in our padding, and then the image would get the border radius. And then again, our content inner would get the side padding here, like so. And then we can go to our content inner and then display this as grid, so we can put in a gap between our sections. Because this is what our if we go to our HTML, we display this as grid, so we can put in a gap on each one of them. So gap of 2rem. Alright, and now we're targeting each of our sections, so we can put a gap on the elements inside them. So let's put here content inner. Again, we're getting all the direct children of each of our sections, and we're displaying it as grid, and it would look the same if you display grid. That's how grid works. We just need to put in a gap of about 1, like so. So that's good for now. Let us do the let's start with the prep time. So here's what it looks like in the design. So it's this color, we have rounded corner, this is a different font, and then you have the markers using the same color, and then the first word is bold. So that's our prep time, which comes after our featured image. And then let's give it a background color of, I believe that's rose white. Again, that's this color. So let's check that. And then again, the font family, that's on the H2, right? Font family of outfit. Then the fallback, of course, is sans serif. All right. And then the color of that, and the color of the li markers, the dots, would be the raspberry color. All right, and then we have a padding of 2rem, and then we need the rounded corners, so this border radius 1rem. So same padding as this one. So the smaller curve, so this one is 2rem, the larger curve. That's at least how it looks like in the design. And then we're going to target the spans, and that's going to be font weight of 700 there. And if you look at the design, you have the list items pulled back a little bit. By default, the indentation is more obvious, right? If you look here, it's indented, you have a bigger gap, and here in the design they provided it's slightly pulled back, so we need to pull back the unordered list. So that's, we named it G proper list, but I'm actually going to change that to just proper list. Alright, so this is our class name, and again, this is the UL, or the unordered list, and I'm going to say padding left of 1rem. Let's try that. That looks okay, but here in the designs you can see it's slightly indented, right? So let's do 1.25 there, and that looks the same. And then in the same manner, you have here some gap between the marker and the list item. So let's do that. So that's on the li. And do we need padding left? Let's try that. Yes. So let's do 1.25 as well. Um, So that looks okay. So this one is slightly wider than this one, which is the same as what we have here, although they're the same 1.25. So that's what we want. And then for the ingredients, didn't get the proper list padding left because we tied it to the prep time. And this is going to be sort of a utility class. So we're going to put that up here together with our width wrapper. So the rest of the ULs and OLs would get the same style. Because I already have that set up here, so they have the same class names. We can now move on to our ingredients. So for the ingredients, it's just the marker that we need to color. We want the markers to be that color, which is the nut. Alright, and then that's pretty much it. For the instructions, what do we have? So the markers are bold, and then the first is bold as well. So let's target the marker. So we can put it here. So ingredients, ally, marker, get ingredients. And if we save, it's not working because it's instructions, right? Instructions there. All right, and then the color of that marker is nutmeg as well there, and then all that's left is the span, so we need to make that font weight of 700. All right, and then let's go back. Nutrition. So for nutrition, we need to do the table. So it's nutrition info. It's the class name that we use. And then we're targeting the table. So when designing tables, you want to put in a border, of course, first, so that you have like a guide. And then on the content, we need a padding bottom. Padding bottom of 2 rem. And then on the going back to the table, we need as well to target the table rows and then all that's inside the table rows. So let me show you what's inside them. So we need to put on each one a border that will serve as a guide. So we're saying each one of the table rows, all of the direct children of all of our table rows. So we're targeting the direct children of our table rows, which is we're putting in a border of 1 pixel solid green. And I'm doing that so I can show you how behave. By default, it's not collapse. That's how it works. So we need to collapse the borders. So we say here border, is it border collapse of collapse. So once you collapse the border, it would look like you don't have this, but again, since they're collapsed, they're no longer doubling the borders on each of the cell, and the outer would just be like that. I'm not sure how to explain that, but again, you want to collapse the border is what I'm saying. And so looking at the design, we need some padding left here, and we have some padding top and bottom on each one of them. And then we have this line separator, and we're going to use border bottom there, but the last item would not have a border bottom. So let's do that. So how are we doing that? We need to target all of our, so again, we're saying here we're targeting all of these, all of the descendants of all of our TRs of our table rows, and we need to say padding left of 2 rem, and it would look like that. But before we do that, let's left text align left this, that's our th. So for our th will be text align to the left like so, and then again we're adding the margin left on each of them, and then we also need padding top and bottom, padding top of 1 rem, padding bottom of 1 rem, and then border bottom of, let's say, 1 pixel solid orange, or that color for now. Let's remove these and these. Now again, we don't need the last one to have that border bottom, so we're gonna say we're selecting all our table rows. We want all the rows except the last row, so not the last child. And then everything except the last child, we're selecting all the descendants of those table rows. So let's do, so we're just simply moving this here and accidentally removed the star. All right, and then the spacing doesn't look right because we need to get rid of the padding top and the padding bottom on the th and td. So if you look at the design, you have this flow, right? And then on the sides you have this flow, this even spacing here, and then you have this even spacing between these two items, because there are 3 under nutrition info. We have the heading, the paragraph, and the table. We have this even spacing there, and then around is you have this even spacing here. So if we look at what we have, we don't have that because this is, the gap here is larger, and then around our nutrition info bottom section we also have this extra spacing, and that's again coming from, if we put back, that's coming from here, the padding that we added top and bottom. So we need to get rid of those, and how do we do that? So we're selecting all our table rows and we want we want to select just the first child. Is that right? So if we color this red. All right, so that's correct. So we're just selecting the first one and we will remove the padding top. So padding top of 0. And then same here for the last child. We want the padding bottom this time to be 0. And then if we remove all that color here, then we would have the same even spacing there between the 3 items, and then we have this even spacing or even flow here. And then we can remove this now. We don't need that anymore. And then we don't need this as well. And then let's use this light gray from our variable there. All right. And then a couple more things. So this should not be bold. By default, that's bold. So let's change the font weight to the regular 400. And then the other one we need to make bold. So the TD should be font weight 700. And then we need to change the color to nutmeg. So nutmeg, it's the same, right? And then it looks like this is where they use the 600, right? So this is slightly thicker. I just noticed that, or not. That looks... We can keep this. So alright. And then what else do we need? We need the underline. So here we have this preparation time separating this two. But between ingredients and instruction, we have the separator, and then we also have the separator here. So that's above instructions and nutrition. So that's nutrition and instructions. Just put it here. Instructions and nutrition info would get that border top of 1 pixel solid, and then our custom property. All right, there. And then we need the padding top. Where's that? Here. Padding top of 2. All right. So let's see. That looks the same as what we have here in the sample. Alright, so I believe that's about it for the design, for the major layout of the desktop. We just need to center our attribution here at the bottom. So let's get that class. And then, of course, it's a class. And we need to say text align center. And then let's give it a padding bottom of 2 rem. And then also give it a hover state. Let's color it first blue. And then for our hover, um that's gonna be color red, and then let's remove the text decoration, remove the underline when it's hovered, so it looks like so. So that's what we have for our desktop design. Now we move on to our responsive view. And the only difference is that we remove all of our background, this color here, and then we also remove all this space on the sides. So let's try to do that here. So let's say media, and then it's going to be width of 35 rem. Let's check first if it's working. So body background color of red. All right, so that's working. Now we want to remove the is it the padding on the content? Oh, on the width wrapper we have a padding, so we need to remove that. So let's come here and remove our side padding. All right. And then we also want to remove the margin here, right? So that's where the margin is coming from. So if we remove that, and then remove the border radius, none. Oops, is it 0? Alright, should be 0. And then remember we have here on the, where is that? Featured image. We have a border radius and padding. So just remove that. So this becomes 0, and this becomes 0. And then let's just do here padding bottom of 2, right? And we're pretty much done here, except that we lost that spacing there. Yeah, we can obviously refactor the code, but for now let's just go with adding some padding attribution here. Padding top of 2. Alright, so that's pretty much it for our design. And again, that's responsive. So obviously you can change the breakpoint. I just use 35, but it's fully responsive.